As a young girl, it was difficult because I was different than any other girl in the school, and everyone knew it. And I lived in a town of 1,800 people, Sedan, Kansas, and I just didn't fit in very well. And I think that I had a lot of friends. I feel like people liked me, but they knew I was odd. And I would look at them, and I would know everything about their lives. Now, I didn't always tell them. And when I would tell people anything, such as teachers or my mother's friends, they'd take me to the church and lay me on the altar and sprinkle holy water over me because they thought I had the devil in me. I remember going to bed at night and praying that God would just forgive me for being a bad little girl, and I really didn't know what I was bad about. But it was the fact that I was a psychic, and back in the 40s, when it was first discovered that I was a psychic, that was a very unpopular thing to be. So, and everyone was afraid of it. So as I grew up, my mother was afraid of me. She just thought I knew way too much, and my little brother didn't understand who I was, and he was afraid of me. I married someone who said that I was the devil because I knew every place he was and every person that he was with and what he did. So I started putting my psychic ability in the closet and leaving it there because that's where it was safe. I still knew everything, and I still knew what was going on in the world and around in people's lives, but I was just too afraid to let anyone know it. When I got into my 20s, it was just too overwhelming. I finally had to just start talking about what I could see and who I was. And then I started working as a psychic.
There's a story about a woman that was sort of your mentor.
My mentor, Carol.
And when you were so close to her.
Oh my gosh. Oh, Carol. Carol was a neighbor of mine. And I never talked to anybody. I didn't talk to really the adults. I smiled at everybody. And as I walked past her house, I would see her. And she'd be sitting on her porch, and she had a little swing. She'd be sitting in that little swing. And one day, when I was walking by, and I'm thinking I was probably maybe 9 years old. I'm not real sure of the age when I met her. She said, she was standing up on her porch, and she said, "Hey, little girl." She said, "Would you like a cookie?" And I looked at her, a little surprised that someone is talking to me. And I looked, and I went, "Yes." And she said, "I just baked some sugar cookies. Why don't you come up on the porch and I'll give you one?" So she went in the house, and I was standing around and waiting on the porch, and she came back out, and she had a little plate of cookies. And she said, "Tell me about the floaters that are walking with you." And I wasn't going to buy that bait because I'd already bought it before, people telling me they wanted to know about the spirits that walked with me. And the next thing I knew, I'm back at the church with holy water sprinkled over me. So I was afraid to talk to Carol. Yeah. And so she knew it. So I put my arms like this, and she goes, "It's okay." She goes, "I see them too." And I went, "You see the floaters?" She goes, "Yes, I see them all the time." She said, "I have since I was your age." And I said, "Oh," and I was so excited. Finally, someone else knew what I was living with. Oh, yeah. And so she said, "Tell me who they are. Do they have names? Do they tell you their names?" Some of them do, but some of them come in and out of my life so fast I don't know their names. And she said, "Well, do they protect you?" And I go, "They're with me all the time. They keep me out of trouble. They protect me. When I get really afraid, they take me out of my body and carry me places." And she knew exactly what I was talking about. I felt accepted for the first time in my life, and I felt like that someone finally understood that I do see what everyone keeps telling me I can't see. I was so tired of hearing about my little imaginary friends when I knew they were real. In fact, they were so real to me that I couldn't tell the difference between a spirit that was walking beside me or a real person, and I still can't. Today, sometimes I'll be talking like to you, and I'll look at you, and I'll be talking to you, but I'll also be talking to that person that's standing right beside you. And at least I'm older and can figure it out now.